A termite mound can stay surprisingly stable inside, while the outside world swings between scorching heat and cool night air. No thermostat, no electric fan, no architect standing nearby with blueprints. And termites are only one example. Beneath grasslands, forests, and fields, animals build underground networks with chambers, tunnels, ventilation routes, nurseries, storage areas, and emergency exits. Some of these structures function less like simple shelters and more like living cities. The strange part is that many are built by creatures with tiny brains. So how do termites, prairie dogs, rabbits, and ants create places that solve problems humans spend entire careers studying? Start with one of nature's most famous construction projects, the termite mound. From the outside, it can look like a rough tower of dried earth, but the visible mound is only part of the system. Depending on the termite species, the colony may extend deep underground, with chambers connected through a complicated network of passages. Inside, the colony has a serious engineering problem. Thousands, sometimes far more, of living insects produce heat, moisture, and carbon dioxide. Many fungus-growing termites also maintain fungal gardens that need suitable conditions. If the nest becomes too hot, too dry, or poorly ventilated, the colony suffers. So the mound interacts with the environment. Air moves through passages as temperature, wind, and pressure change. The soil walls can absorb and release heat. Termites constantly modify openings, tunnels, and surfaces, changing how gases and heat move through the structure. The important detail is that termite ventilation is not identical across every species. Some mounds rely strongly on external wind. Others use temperature differences between different parts of the nest. The famous idea of one universal termite air conditioning system is too simple. Nature, inconveniently, refuses to use one instruction manual. But the result can still be remarkable. Imagine slicing through the nest like a giant biological building model. You would see vertical shafts, branching tunnels, working chambers, nursery zones, and underground spaces hidden beneath the tower. And there is no termite city planner. Each termite follows local signals. It reacts to soil, chemicals, airflow, moisture, and the activity of nearby workers. Millions of tiny decisions can create a structure no individual termite fully understands. Now move from Africa or Australia to the grasslands of North America. Here, another animal creates a very different city. Prairie dogs are burrowing rodents that live in social colonies. Their connected communities are often called towns, and the name is surprisingly appropriate. A prairie dog burrow is not simply a hole with an animal at the bottom. It can contain branching tunnels, nesting chambers, listening areas, and multiple entrances. Different burrows exist close together across the colony, creating a landscape filled with underground homes. Above ground, prairie dogs maintain social relationships, watch for predators, and use alarm calls. Below ground, the architecture gives them shelter from weather and danger. Even the entrances can influence airflow. Some prairie dog burrows have entrance mounds with different shapes or heights. Wind passing over these openings can create pressure differences that help move air through parts of the burrow. No ceiling fan required. But the most impressive feature may be scale. A prairie dog town can contain many family groups spread across a wide area. They are not all sharing one enormous underground apartment. Instead, think of it as a neighborhood made from many nearby burrow systems. That distinction matters. Animal cities do not need to copy human cities exactly. They only need repeated infrastructure, social organization, and spaces that solve shared survival problems. Now consider rabbits. European rabbits are famous for building warrens, underground systems with interconnected tunnels and chambers. A warren offers protection from predators and harsh weather. Females can use nesting chambers for their young. Multiple entrances provide more than convenience. They also create options when danger appears. Picture the underground structure from the side. Near the surface, several entrances descend into branching passageways. Some routes connect. Others lead toward chambers where animals rest. The earth above acts like insulation, reducing exposure to rapid changes outside. But rabbits add another layer. Their social life influences how the space is used. European rabbits can live in groups with dominance relationships and shared warrens. So the underground system becomes both shelter and social territory. It is not a peaceful subway system where everyone politely waits for the next train. Animals compete, defend space, reproduce, and avoid threats. Architecture does not remove conflict. It gives conflict a location. Then we reach perhaps the ultimate underground specialists, ants. An ant nest can look almost invisible from above. Maybe you see a small entrance surrounded by loose soil. Below that entrance, the geometry can become extraordinary. Many ant species construct vertical shafts connected to horizontal chambers at different depths. Colonies may use chambers for brood, food storage, waste, or worker activity. Depth matters because soil conditions change underground. Temperature becomes more stable. Moisture levels differ. Some chambers may be better for larvae at one moment, while others become more suitable later. Workers can move brood between locations as conditions change. That means the nest itself becomes a tool for regulating the colony's environment. And ants do something else clever. As workers excavate, they must remove enormous amounts of soil relative to their own body size. Each ant carries tiny particles upward. One trip looks meaningless. Thousands of repeated trips create rooms large enough for a colony. This is where animal architecture becomes almost uncomfortable to think about. Humans love the idea that complicated structures require a mastermind. These colonies often show the opposite. Complexity can emerge from simple rules repeated at scale. One ant responds to a chemical trail. Another carries soil. Another feeds larvae. Another repairs damaged tunnels. Nobody has the complete blueprint. Yet the colony keeps functioning. Termites regulate gas exchange and temperature through architecture. Prairie dogs create distributed burrow neighborhoods. Rabbits build shared warrens with escape routes and nesting spaces. Ants excavate layered environments that can support thousands or even millions of individuals, depending on the species. Different animals, different problems. The same powerful idea. A home becomes more advanced when it begins managing the environment around its residents. And sometimes, these underground cities affect more than their builders. Burrowing mixes soil. Tunnels alter water movement. Excavated earth changes the surface. Abandoned burrows can provide shelter for other creatures. Prairie dog colonies can reshape grassland habitats. Ants and termites can strongly influence soil structure and nutrient movement. So the city does not end at its walls. It changes the neighborhood. And that may be the biggest payoff. When we look at a termite, rabbit, prairie dog, or ant, we usually focus on the animal itself. But sometimes the most impressive organism is almost invisible. It is the structure created by thousands of behaviors interacting over time. No skyscrapers, no concrete highways, no municipal planning department. Just soil, instinct, cooperation, competition, airflow, temperature, and countless small decisions. Cut the ground open in your imagination, and an ordinary field suddenly becomes vertical. Rooms appear beneath your feet. Tunnels cross through darkness. Nurseries sit beside transport routes. Air moves through hidden passages. Entire communities continue their lives while we walk above them without noticing. We like to say humans build cities and animals build nests. But look closely enough, and that boundary becomes much harder to defend. Sometimes a hole in the ground is not just a hole. Sometimes it is a city you were standing on the entire time.